morning, my name is Alex and I'm an educator here at the Science Center. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about weather. We're going to have 3 fun activities at the end and we have a really cool lesson. I'm going to use these questions on the board here to kind of guide our discussion on what weather is. So, do you guys know what factors influence weather? Can you guys give me any guesses? You can look outside, you can kind of see them or feel them at any time. So the 4 factors that influence weather would be wind, temperature, precipitation, which is typically rain or snow, anything that falls out of the sky, and then as well as conditions of the sky itself. So whether there's clouds up there or if it's a clear sunny day. So these are going to go ahead and influence those. Weather is ever changing. If you go outside, you might notice that it's really nice and warm and sunny, and then all of a sudden you get a big old gust of wind and a storm moves in. Weather typically along the coast is more sporadic and changes a lot quicker than different cities or states might have more inland. So you get a lot of weather that is influenced by the ocean as well. So the ocean has these things called currents. These currents pull you in or pull you out. If you think of them almost as their own individual river running through the ocean. So you can have the ocean staying still all through here, but as you come out, this little area here will cause a current and can pull you out to sea or drift you off to other areas. So what happens with these currents is as the warm water comes through, it raises the air temperature, and so that air temperature is blown onto land by wind and can influence what temperature we're feeling, and that can influence what's happening above us in the sky. So we do have, as we're mentioning, wind. We do have this image. I don't know if you guys can see it too well. We've got arrows here. So do you guys know what the equator is? So the equator is that middle line through the earth. So let me grab a globe real quick. Sorry. So we have our globe right here. You might be able to see this nice blue line that runs through it. That is cutting the earth in half. That is our equator line. As you can see with any globe, it's on a tilted axis. So when the sun shines down on it, it's putting all that radiation and light on a different part of the earth. So this part of the earth is receiving a lot more sunlight than, say, this part of the earth. So because of that tilted axis, it does allow weather to change. Weather is never the same in one area as it might be in the other. What's really interesting about the equator is right now we're experiencing springtime. If you're on the opposite side of the equator, you're actually experiencing fall right now. So think of it like Christmas. We have Christmas in cold weather, especially if you live in the northern states. You might receive some snow or something. But when you go down to somewhere like Australia, which is on the opposite side, they're actually experiencing Christmas during summertime. So instead of building snowmen, they're building sand castles. They're going to be wearing shorts and t-shirts instead of our coats and our jeans to stay warm. So that's a really fun, interesting fact. But because we have this equator, we're also going to have different directions of wind. So on our drawing here, you can see the equator just cut right through. And this is the northern hemisphere. So you can see our arrows moving. The winds actually move towards the right and rotate. So these winds up here are going to be going up towards the North Pole and over towards the right as it rotates. And then the winds down here will move out towards the other parts of Earth and continue that rotation. Whereas if you come to a little bit lower, you have the winds that push towards that equator here. And so our winds up here blow up towards the North Pole. If you take this quarter, it blows down towards the equator. And then just like that, if you go south of the equator, you have winds that come up, blow towards the equator, but this time they go left. Instead of rotating to the right, they just swirl around here. And the opposite is true as well for down in the last quarter of the globe. So that's going to continue to rotate left, but those arrows are going to, those arrows and winds, sorry guys, actually point out towards Earth again and continue that rotation. So wind is ever moving, and so that's going to blow weather in all kinds of directions. Just because our weather rotates to the right, our states off to the east might receive our weather. The opposite is true for the southern hemisphere. So we're going to go ahead and talk about clouds. So clouds are influenced by precipitation and wind. So the wind's going to move those around. You might see that clouds go by at a faster rate when the wind is picked up. But do you guys know what kind of clouds these are? We have three main types of clouds as well as other ones. We have a question.
The question is that the same as a sink drain rotating opposite directions in the northern and southern hemisphere?
That is. We've seen videos about that where it goes in the opposite direction. That is due to gravitational pull. I don't want to say 100% that that's why the wind rotates that way as well, but because the tilt of the axis, you can relate it back to that. So just like you have the opposite directions with the winds, it makes sense why you have the opposite direction of the drain pull. So we have three main types of clouds. We have cirrus, stratus, and cumulus. I'll give you guys a moment to look at these and just kind of try to identify which one is which. I don't know how well you can see that on that camera, but this one's kind of more wispy-like. It goes up in the air like that, and it's typically found at higher altitudes. This one here has almost like a fog-like sheen. You'll see them high up in the air, but they're more together than these wispy ones here. And then this one is your generic cloud when you think of a nice cloud. It's puffy, it looks like a cotton ball. So number one here is our cirrus cloud. You can find these any time of the year. They're typically made up of ice crystals, and those crystals can be really compact or they can be really spread out. We're just going to help you identify how sheen the cloud is. I have a picture of it in real life, and so you can see them here. And so this next one that we have is a stratus cloud, and they cover large areas. They're, like I said, they're almost fog-like in appearance, but they are quite thin as well. They are lower to the ground. These ones are found at higher altitudes. These ones are found at lower altitudes. And so we have a picture right here of them. They look similar, but they are different. You can find them a lot of times in all over the world, but it is mainly in coastal or mountainous regions. The last one we have is a cumulus cloud, and so that's that big puffy one we were talking about right there. So they look like piles of cotton. They're often indicating fair weather, although they can pour a little bit of rain on you. These ones can also give you some rain or some snow. And then these ones are, they typically don't produce any kind of precipitation really, but they are more red or yellow during sunset or sunrise, so you might be able to see those better during those times of day. They're usually the first ones to light up in the sky and the last ones to fade. And so there are other types of clouds. They are found at different altitudes in the sky, so higher up or lower down in the sky. However, these are our main types. And if you guys are interested more, I can go ahead and do a different video on other types of clouds. But for right now, we're just going to concentrate on our three that we have here. So if you can read this last question down here, what is a meteorologist and what tools do they use? Do you guys know what a meteorologist is? You might see them a lot on your parents' TV. So a meteorologist is someone who studies weather. They're going to be the weatherman or the weatherwoman telling you, hey, for the next 7 days we can expect sunshine or you can expect a storm. They're also going to be the ones telling you, hey, we have a storm warning in effect or hurricanes coming, you better find shelter. So they're the ones that are going to be on the TV telling you, hey, go out, have fun, play, or be sure to wear a raincoat today. These guys use a variety of tools. There's a lot of technology involved in it. So do you guys know any of the basic tools that are used? You might see them out in your garden sometimes or a park. So we have a barometer. Barometer measures the atmospheric pressure. The thermometer You can also have one that sticks out on your garden wall, and it measures the temperature outside. So that mercury in there is going to go up or down depending on how it feels outside. They also have the hydrometer, which measures humidity, or it also measures what humidity is moisture in the air. So if you go outside and you're feeling a little bit sticky after being out there for 5-10 minutes, that's going to be a more humid day. Whereas if you stay out there and you don't really come back sticky or anything like that, it's going to be a lot less humid. You're not going to be getting quite so much moisture around the air. Now typically humidity is increased when you're along coastal areas just because you have that ocean that's blowing in. And if you go somewhere tropical or in the Caribbean, you might see that humidity increases there as well. So that's typically going to increase as you get closer to that equator. So the same would be true for the opposite side of the world, where as they move up towards the equator, they get more humidity. For us in the northern hemisphere, as we move down, we get more. Yes, we have a question.
Which type of cloud can you find different animal shapes in on a nice summer day?
To be honest, all of these change shape so much that you can probably find them in anyone if you use your imagination to its fullest extent. But the ones that I usually see animals in would be this one here, that cottony kind, which is a cumulus cloud. So those ones can also, you might see one that looks very similar to that, and they actually refer to them, they're nicknamed as tower clouds. They can move really high up and typically come with a lot of storms in them. But if you find a really large one, you might be able to imagine Godzilla or something like that in there. But I like to think that these ones are typically the ones you imagine fun shapes in. So as far as tools for meteorologists go, some more of the advanced ones include a weather balloon. So I don't know if you guys have ever seen a weather balloon, but it actually has a tool attached to it that goes up, and it takes the humidity, the air pressure, the temperature, the wind speed, and the direction, and it uses a radio sound, which when that balloon goes up in the air, that balloon goes over 20 miles above Earth's surface, and that balloon pops, and the radio sound is it goes down towards Earth again using a parachute. And so those things actually fall down to Earth. The scientists find them, they repair them, fix them up after their fall, and then send them back up to measure this. So this is the one that has over 1,100 sites. I believe it's worldwide, and they launch 2 times daily, typically around midnight and afternoon, I believe, about 12 o'clock. So about every 12 hours they're measuring those changes, and those are getting reported back to them. So those transmit info back to the meteorologist using radio waves. While it's still flying up, those meteorologists can still get that information directly sent to them. One of the other things that you might find in your garden would be a rain gauge. Some people have really cool ones. They're like little cups, and they're put on chains that can fall through. Some of them tip over multiple times. Others, they just measure. You can even have something as simple as a cup. It just tells you how many inches of rain has fallen. They also have snow gauges, which do the same for snow. So you can also have an anemometer, which measures the wind speed and direction. Going to this question about NOAA. So NOAA stands for National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. So a little bit background behind that. They measure the climate and environment. They're the United States government's go-to agency for all of that. So they try to preserve the climate and the environment, and that's who you're going to get a lot of your resources from. They actually have some really cool stuff to use on their website. But they use mainly the weather balloons, the anemometers, the Doppler radar, which is a radar that can pick up weather conditions. They also use satellite data using multiple types of satellites. So there's polar orbiting, which goes around the Earth and orbits. It measures all that. The geostationary satellite, it stays in one place and just takes lots of pictures in one area. It's not going to move. It's not going to change. It's not going to orbit like the other one will. They also use deep space, which does exactly what it talks about, going into deep space and taking measurements. They also use the Automated Surface Observing System, So this has 900 stations nationwide that measure all of the things that we've talked about, whether it's air pressure, temperature, humidity, things like that. And they have volunteers that help take these measurements and send it back. So if you're ever interested in that, when you get a little bit older, I'm sure that you could volunteer at one of those stations and help meteorologists talk about weather. There's also the supercomputers, which take all of this data that they compile about weather, and it puts out some graphs and it just computes and is able to help predict what's coming or what's going to happen. They also have an advanced weather info processing system which uses all that data, even from the supercomputer, to make those graphs that you see on when the news broadcaster is talking about the weather, the meteorologist is pointing out on the map. Those maps are generated by this system, and they also automate warnings and watches. So if you think that a tornado is going to be coming by, that system is likely the one that has predicted this to come forward. So did you guys have any questions about any of this? Okay, so we're going to move on to our activity. So first off, I'm going to show you guys, let me just get this out of the way, put this down here before it falls again. And so first, I'm going to show you guys rain. So for this one, we will need a cup of water. It doesn't matter how much water's in there. I usually like to use more, fill it up towards the top, just that way you can see your rain fall down further. And so you are going to take your shaving cream, shake it up a little bit, and squirt it in the top. And so that's going to be your cloud there. What I'm doing now is I'm taking a separate cup, putting some gel food coloring in there, just to give it some color. Mix that up, make my water turn blue. So this one I am going to pour over my cloud. I'm going to put some glitter on top there as well, just make it look pretty. So I'm just going to pour this over. You can see it dropping down. And it is going to come back up. And you can see the bottom's cleared a little bit. So that's like a nice little fog sheen there. Let me see. I'll grab my food coloring that I add drops of. And I am just going to drop towards the front. And it'll go through the clouds. And so you want to make sure that you have a thin layer of the shaving cream, otherwise it won't go through. But there's your rain coming down. You see it slowly coming. And so if this isn't working for you, you might have too thick of a sheet of shaving cream over there. You can see it come down there a bit. And sometimes it will drag that glitter down as well, so you get a little bit of sparkly in there as well. So that's your rain activity. You can see it pouring down really nice. And so our next activity is going to be we'll go ahead and do the snow first. And so the snow is going to be a 1-to-1 ratio. So we are going to use shaving cream and baking soda for this. And so I'm just going to use the rest of this up. So I'm going to use about half a cup for this. There's not quite half a cup in there. I'll throw that one out. Pour my half cup in. Shaving cream is a little bit difficult to measure it properly, but I'm just going to go ahead and say that is half a cup right there. Spoon that in. You can mix it with your hands, but it does stay a little bit sticky at first. And it might be a little bit difficult to get that shaving cream off the spoon, so you might have to use your fingers just to get it off at first. And so we're just going to mix that in. And shaving cream won't be quite as puffy as you mix it in, but it provides a really nice base for our baking soda. If your powder isn't quite all the way picked up, you can always add a small squirt of shaving cream in there still. But it is supposed to be light and powdery. I'm going to go ahead and start using my fingers. So you can mix it in. And as you feel it, you might notice that it feels cool to the touch, which helps make it feel like snow. And so if you get a really good consistency, you can even build it up to make snowmen. Might be a little bit crumbly, but you can do it. I've done it before, I've seen it happen. So you can just play with that a bit. And it's light and powdery, just like snow. Let's see if we can get anything. So you can see it's packing together nicely. And it has a really nice smell to it too, thanks to that shaving cream. It's not going to be a pretty snowman, but we can try. There you go, there's your indoor snow. And then I'm going to go ahead and set him to the side. I'm going to rinse my hands off real quick. And so that snow, we'll keep it in an airtight container for a while, or you can put it in a Ziploc baggie. But you can keep playing around with that. I'm going to move on to our next activity. Just this last one here. We're going to make a cloud. So for this one, you are going to need a half cup of cornstarch. Quarter cup of conditioner. So it's not quite that 1-to-1 ratio. We're going to be using a 2-to-1 ratio here. And so it can be any kind of conditioner that you have at home. I just went to Walmart and grabbed some really good smelling stuff. And it's nice, cheap, and easy for this activity. So I'll just scoop the rest of that out. Again, you can use your hands to mix this, but it's not going to be, it's going to be a little bit messier at first. So I would recommend using a spoon to get all of that together. And what's nice about these activities is if you add too much of one ingredient, you can always go back through and add a little bit of the other. It's not going to mess it up completely and make you restart. And so you do want it to clump together a bit. Might be able to see in my bowl, it's clumping. It's grabbing all that cornstarch. So I'm going to go ahead. And you can use food coloring and glitter. This is completely up to you. It's not required, but it's completely optional. I'm just going to use 1 drop of my red. Hopefully it makes a nice light pinkish color here. I'm just going to mix that in. You do want to use your spoon for this part because if you get it on your hands, it might be a bit difficult to wash off. This as well. It is going to be a little bit sticky, once we get it to the right measurement that we want it at, or the consistency, it won't be quite so sticky on your hands. It'll be more like a moldable clay or Play-Doh. And if it is sticking, you just can't get it to stop sticking to your hands, you can add a little bit more cornstarch. And so that is our cloud. You can see it there, it rips nicely. You can make it into any fun shapes that you want. So you can throw it around a little bit, mold it in your hands, and you just rip it apart, real nice and easy. And so you can turn these clouds into any shape you want. Use your imagination, turn it into those animals that you're talking about. So there's that for you. And this also keeps really nicely in a container or a bag. So I actually made a bag of this yesterday, and I kept it in here. And actually, if you use your fingers and pull it down, you can turn it into your little cumulus cloud. And so it really looks like a cloud in the bag. So that is all I have for you guys today. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to put them on this video. I would love to see what your clouds and your snowmen look like. But in the meantime, we are unfortunately still closed. We're hoping to open back up soon, but we are actually going to be doing more videos for you guys in the month of May. So be sure to keep tuning in at 10 a.m. every Monday through Friday. We have some really cool stuff planned for you guys, and I really appreciate you tuning in. Thank you and have a great day.